Okay, cool. All right, so today I am here to show you and teach you my tricks of mastering the discovery call. So, in lots of businesses, including service-based industry, and not retail particularly, but most other industries, you've got to have a call with your potential customer to share with them the value of what you do. And what I've been hearing from the people joining our group and just all the research I've been doing this past year is that this is one of the harder parts of starting your own business. I see people getting really frustrated that they have these great discovery calls. They've got a great idea. They're solving a huge problem, but they're getting on the discovery call and they're not closing the deal. So, my objective is to help teach you how to run those calls so that you can win the business. So, my goal is to help you make lots and lots more money. So, let's get started. All right. So, here is what you can expect from me today. I am going to share with you a little bit about my bio. So, you know that I do have the authority to teach this stuff. I'm going to share with you a little preview of our Facebook group in case you're not in that yet. Then we'll walk through that 10-step discovery call process. This is the process that I teach my teams, and I'll go more into that in a minute. The goal is that you leave a more confident seller today. We'll have time for Q&A, and then I have a really exciting announcement that I'm going to share with you at the very end. All right, so who am I? So I do have my MBA in case people care. Sometimes people do, sometimes people don't. I actually decided to get that because I was bored. I have 5 children, if you don't know me, and my youngest daughter, Mia, was born, and we lived in a teeny tiny town in Kentucky. There weren't a lot of job opportunities for me there, and I had big dreams and aspirations. So I decided to take some time and invest in myself and get that degree. So happy to have it, but is what it is. I have spent the last 20 years, so my entire adult life, working in corporate sales and corporate leadership. Currently, I have been with a technology company for, good gracious, 6.5 years. I sell data center infrastructure and I lead 2 teams, and I'm responsible for P&L for both of those offices with those teams of salespeople and solution architects. So I have a lot of experience in coaching and training salespeople. I've closed over $50 million in products and services so far. So I think I figured something out. And my approach is unique. So you see, sales managers and sales leaders portrayed on television as kind of grumpy, always pointing at the numbers, and really that aggressive kind of stick. If you think carrot and stick, it's the stick approach. I am the opposite. And that is really what I'm wanting to bring to this new business. I love to inspire people. My approach with my team, we do a daily sales stand up, and I look like this. I'm smiling, I'm showcasing their wins, I am cheerleading them to success. And for my underperformers, I take a very similar strategy, and that is showing them what they could have if they were able to, get the business. So it's been kind of revolutionary for the company that I work for now because they've done the old approach for so long. And now my entire company is starting to see, oh, wow, Sarah's style, though weird, and different, has really changed the numbers and is really revolutionizing the business. So that is really the foundation of sales cheerleader, that I believe women deserve more money. And my unique approach to teaching sales skills and those foundations, I know will make a difference in my prospect and my clients' lives. And so that's the vision and mission of Sales Cheerleader. I have more people coming. Welcome, welcome. Welcome, guys. We did already get started, but I will be posting the recording as well. So you've not missed much. Just jump right in. I've got participants muted for now, but we'll do Q&A at the end. So don't worry, I will absolutely answer every one of your questions. So bio-wise, I have hosted thousands of discovery calls. And obviously by closing $50 million in business, I figured out a strategy that really works. So that's what I want to show you today. This is our Facebook group. I think all of you that are attending today are in it, but just in case you're not, it's growing like mad. I think I started at a grand total of 11. I don't know. I should have counted 10 or 11 days ago. And we're up to almost 200 members. I'm super, super excited. The objective of this group is really to do two things. Number one, women supporting women. I want to buy from women. I want to learn from women. I want to elevate women, period. I believe that men have had the good old boys club for quite a while. And they had just have a different leg up than we do because of their golf leagues and their different ways they can network. Women are often mothers, not always, but often mothers. And so our time is limited outside of the house. And so I'm really envisioning this incredible way that we can have that same networking and that same oh, I know you should call XYZ person. She does this, right? That men do, but we're just going to build it on a social platform so that we can do it from our phones while we're cooking dinner, right? Just from the comfort of our own home, not having to leave the house and leave our children in order to build our career. That's kind of the point. So welcome and come on in. If you are not in that Facebook group, it is free and it will always be free. There may be paid groups later, but that is for you. So let's get into the meat and potatoes. What is a discovery call? So I like to say this is the magic. If you are granted the opportunity to get on a phone call or a Zoom with someone who's interested in purchasing your services or products, what a blessing, right? It is a great opportunity and it really shows that you've done the work to put in that foundational understanding, whether that be in marketing or advertising, so that your prospects are starting to be so intrigued that they're going to take an entire hour out of their day to learn more from you and to see if you're a good fit. And I really think that setting intentions in your mind is one of the keys to being successful in closing that call. So when I host one, I start by, oh, actually, we'll do common mistakes first. This is the first time I've done this presentation. So common mistakes that I see, these are all awful, and I see them a lot. In my role as director of sales for IP Pathways, I'm responsible for listening to these calls made by salespeople. The most common faux pas that I see is that last minuteness, I call it. So running into your office frantic, oh my gosh, I have a call in 2 minutes. Oh my goodness, where's their phone number? Oh my gosh, where's my paper? Where's the notes? Like that is such chaos, and you really exude that chaos to the prospect. So my first tip to you is to do that pre-research, and we'll talk about that on the next slide. I also see a real lack of focus. I know we are all getting zoomed out. It is hard to stay focused on a computer screen when I can't, at this point, the way this is showing, like I can't even see your faces. But you've got to stay focused on the goal. Again, being really intentional. So not getting distracted with kids walking in the room if possible. We're all humans, we get it. But making a space where you can be focused and give your time to your customer is really, really important. I also have been on some calls recently where the salesperson or the business owner came across really arrogant. I think it's important, especially as women leaders, that we are able to exude that positive confidence without being arrogant. So I like to always remember that I am always earning your mind share, whether that's this free trainings or it's my Instagram posts or it's my Facebook lives. I am earning your time. And so I think the same way when I'm on a call with a prospective client, that is their time that they are choosing to give me. So I think when you can set your mind in that space, it'll really help you show up well. So, how do we get started? Number one, take a minute and do some pre call prep. Even if you are just selling a $100 consultation, take a second and look at their Instagram profile, look at their Facebook profile, or look at their website. Get yourself familiar enough that you can have a way to connect with your client right off the bat. So a good example is if I'm like, okay, I have a call with Tara. I click in Tara's name really quick. I'm like, oh, she's got children. Perfect, easy, done. That's the extent of the pre-call prep, right? Then I'm aware that she has children. I have something that I can connect with her about right away. And that helps build that know, like, and trust factor, which is obviously key to being able to build a successful business. So again, I'm not advocating for 2 hours. You don't have to read every blog on their site, but taking a moment to know who they are is going to help you a lot. Next up, set expectations. This is something I do not see a lot of people do. You'll notice at the beginning of this training, I laid out how the agenda is going to go. And whether consciously or not, that made you feel more comfortable. You've got a level set of an expectation. You know how your next 20 minutes, 30 minutes are going to go. That puts you in a better headspace to learn. The same applies to a discovery call. Those people are not going to know what to expect. Those calls are held very differently from salesperson to salesperson. I think I was on 4 last week and they were all radically different. But if you can say, listen, I'm here today to learn about your problems. So, first, I'm going to ask you a couple of questions. Then, I'll share a couple of examples of how I've solved that problem. Then, we'll talk about packages and pricing. And then, we'll decide if it's a good fit for both of us. How does that sound? It's as simple as that. You don't need a printed agenda with who's coming and what the time and date is, but just giving your prospects an idea of how the call is going to go puts them at ease, builds know, like, and trust. So, next up, you are doing information gathering. This is the gold of your call. It is the most important part. Nothing else really matters except this section of your agenda. So, my first point of advice is you got to be quiet. I've been on a lot of calls where they start, oh, yeah, I want to learn, but blah, blah, blah. And then they just start into it because people get excited and they start pitching me before they have any clue what it is that I need. So I want you to stop doing that, like completely. And your approach is just going to be to ask questions. My first one is always, what brought us here today? How'd you find me? So then they'll say, Instagram or whatever. Okay, great. How can I serve you today? And then they're going to start word vomiting most often. And so what you are going to do is take a pen and a piece of paper and you are going to write down those pain points. I want you to think of the pain points as literal gold nuggets. Capturing those pain points is what you're going to use in the later slides that I'll teach you to do your closing strategy. But if you don't have a good idea of where the pain is, you will never be able to close the deal. So it's very important that you ask a question and shut up. We can do it. It's hard for me too. I love to talk. Next up is the validation phase. So you've heard the pain points, and now you are going to take time to validate that you heard them appropriately. So a lot of times people get really excited, right? And they're like, oh my goodness, I have problems with this. I need to lose 50 pounds and I don't have time to cook good food and I don't have this and that. And they just start pop, 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 pop. So you are going to take a moment to reset the room. I like to call it, if you're on Clubhouse, you've heard that terminology a lot. And this is actually also a soft closing strategy. We'll have to do closing techniques in a different mastermind. If you want a closing technique mastermind class from me, pop me a DM on Instagram, say closing. If I get enough of those, then I'll put that one together next because I think that could be a really valuable class as well. But validating that you heard the pain. So the questions that I like to use, I put right here. So I would say to, let's say, Sarah, who needed to lose 50 pounds. Yes, that's me. I would say, so what I heard you say is it's getting hard for you to lose weight. Is that correct? It's very basic. And yes, you're repeating their words, but by repeating their words to them, you are again building know, like, and trust. It's psychology, right? We always say sales is both an art and a science. So you are going to take a moment and validate what you heard from those gold nuggets that you captured in the information gathering phase. And you're just going to repeat them back to them. Reminder, I'm going to do Q&A at the end, so feel free to be writing down your questions if I'm moving quick. Okay, so after you have gathered the information, you've gathered the pain points, you've validated that you heard them correctly, and you've lasered in on that primary pain point, then you're going to start your storytelling selling. This is my favorite sales strategy. This is the one I use 85% of the time, and that is straight up proving what I can do. So this is an example of two of the services that I offer. I do sales consulting and I also do sales coaching or interview prep. So if you've got a sales interview, if you're still in the corporate world, then I will do an hour-long call with you and help walk through the interview process. I play sales manager, you play interviewee, and I help you prepare for that, right? So these are two examples of testimonials that I've received just in the past few weeks, but it is a great way to show and share with that prospect that, look, I'm not just filling you full of hot air. These are people that I can connect you with. You could email them, you could call them, Zoom them, Facebook message them, what have you, to get a third party assessment of my value. That's a big deal, right? You've got to allow clients a way, especially depending on the size of your offer or the price, but they've got to be able to validate that someone else saw the value in you. So I would tell a story around this, right? So if it was a sales consulting discovery call and their pain points were how incredibly hard it is to do a sales call, for example, then I would be able to share my testimonial from Catlin Pyatt, who's the owner of Authentic Branding. She was having a really hard time because most of her customers were not qualified. So she would do this whole rigmarole discovery call with these people that weren't actually able to afford her. So I taught her what's called the BANT strategy for deal qualification so that she could better understand, oh, okay, it's not me, it's them. They're not ready yet. So she could then market to them in a different way. This interview prep, this is just a screenshot of a text that I got after I helped this client prepare for an interview. So your discovery calls aren't always going to be visual. In fact, I'd say it's likely better for them not to be. You're not prepping slides for a discovery call, right? What you're instead doing is making sure you're prepared to share those testimonials. So you should have a folder in your Google Drive or wherever you manage your business of all of the clients that you've worked with that have shared testimonials with you. I also hope you're asking for those testimonials. It's easy to forget to do that, but collecting those are your gold. And that those are stories that you can continue to tell over and over and over so that you can, in my words, I like to say, wash, rinse, repeat. There's no need to recreate the wheel. You've got some great stories, share those. Next up, keep it simple. I see this so much, and I know I've been guilty of it too. So you hear all those pain points, you validate them, you share with them your social proof so they get so excited. And now it's time for you to present what the offer is, whatever it is that you want to sell to them. Um, we have to talk less here. So if you've earned the know, like, and trust factor from your customer already, you validated their pain. Now it's your job to succinct down your offer. And I really recommend one. So, meaning you don't say, okay, cool. So, you want to lose 50 pounds and you have problems with cooking healthy and this. Okay, I have package A, package B, package C, package D. No. Let's not do that anymore. That is confusing your customer, and it is also not setting you up to show that you are the expert. So you heard their pain points. Now your challenge is to provide them with one offer. So I would say, awesome. I heard your pain. We validated that that was correct. This is what I recommend you start with. I have a package that helps you solve those problems. I recite them again, and it costs X. Okay, so not five different packages, not you could buy ours, or you could buy this, or you could buy that. Just one package. What is your recommendation? You are the expert in those pain points. You've been solving them and creating transformations for other customers. So share one thing. Then you're going to be quiet again and open back up for questions. Now, we all know what this time means. This is often what salespeople or business owners dread because here comes the objections, right? Your customer or prospect is going to often say, well, yeah, I mean, I like that idea of that package. But I don't really have the time to devote to it right now, or that's really expensive, or I just don't think I'm ready, or I want to do more research on you before I decide, right? There's lots of objections that we get as business owners. One of the strategies that you can do, and I recommend you do, and we'll walk through it, is actually pre planning your responses for those objections. So if you're prepared, then it's much easier for you to rebut them. So let's say they go with the time one. I think that one's really common. I'm going to take a drink of water. So, like, yeah, that sounds really great. But thinking about it, I just don't think I have the time to devote to this. So, the way I would rebut that is I would say, Sally, I totally understand. Time is a precious commodity, but I did hear you say that you're looking for a transformation around X, and my program can provide that to you. So I'd really like to find a way that we can match your limited time with also being able to transform your life. Let's rethink this. And then I stop talking completely. Awkward silence at that point is a good thing because they're processing it. If they immediately say, I know, but I just don't have it, then you're in a different situation. But what I find is often when I reframe the pain point and remind them of the value and then do a soft close again, then they start to pause and they're like, that is why I'm on the call. That is why I've been seeking you out. Um, and so then that starts the conversation. But what I also really recommend is that you don't take those objections personally. So when you're on the phone, if you're not smiling, your customer can tell. So I would encourage you to think about those objections as opportunities to get an even better customer because they're going to be even more excited when they've objected. You've helped them process that objection and then get to a yes. It's an even better customer experience. So reframe it in your mind as an opportunity and pre-plan. Just make a list. What are the most common objections you hear? You're too expensive. This takes too much time. I need different payment terms. Whatever it is, make a list of those and then pre-plan how you'd respond to them. It'll revolutionize your discovery calls, I promise. So I also say to address those objections with questions. So we kind of walked through that in the previous slide of, okay, but I heard you say that you need X. Is that still accurate? Well, yeah, I do really want to lose the weight. I do really need to do that, right? So that brings it back to a conversation instead of you fumbling around with how you respond to it. Because it's not going to help if you just say, well, it's not that much time, Betty. Well, to Betty, it is a lot of time, right? If that's her objection, it's valid for her. It's more about you reframing that to help Betty think about it differently. Closing strategies. So once again, this is an entire mastermind in and of itself. But I wanted to point out a couple things. I used two strategies. I taught you two strategies throughout this previous 30 minutes that we've been on this call. I taught you an assumptive close, and I taught you the always closing strategy. So always closing is a preferred technique that I use, and it is including ways to allow your prospect or customer to say yes to seemingly mundane questions, but it's helping, again, psychology. It's helping your customer get comfortable with saying the word yes. So right at the very beginning, I start with the agenda and I say, how does that feel? Or does that meet your expectations? Or other questions like that. Just getting them to say yes multiple times throughout the conversation kind of helps their mind, again, build that know, like, and trust. When you say yes to someone, you're realizing they understand you, right? Or that you're on the same page. So that always closing strategy is really important to start incorporating into all of your communications. The now or never closing strategy is one that I personally choose not to use. I do think it is very valid in certain industries, but that would be the one where you'd end the call with, okay, so I've got a one-time offer. I can provide you with health coaching for $350, whatever, but you have to sign up today. Now, to me, that is more high pressure. It's not my style. My style, hopefully you can tell, is much more value driven. But I do think that that offer or that technique can be really valid in specific industries. So the way you evaluate if we've still got people joining. Welcome, welcome. The way to evaluate if that strategy is right for you is to think about who your ideal customer is. So I'm selling to women entrepreneurs that are bootstrapping it. So I am not in the business to be forcing them to make a fast decision, because what I'm selling and what I'm offering is a bigger transformation than that. And it is an investment. So I choose not to pick up that technique. If your ideal customer is a different profile and it's someone that needs to be pushed into a decision, and that's what's best for the customer, then that might be the right technique for you to choose. So again, this is a little bit sales 501, a little less 101 here, but we can talk about it more. If you have questions, feel free to test me after. We covered this in the middle, but please smile. Just smile. Again, this is a phenomenal opportunity that someone is giving you to have a conversation with them about their needs and problems that you can fix and transform. So be intentional about remembering that it is such a blessing that you get to have that time with them, and smile and keep your frame of mind in that space. It will help you come across more polished, more professional, and more of a subject matter expert, which is what they need, right? They need what you've got to offer. So I am going to open it up for questions now. And I would love feedback. And then I will come back with a couple more pages or a couple more slides in a minute. But let me unmute, or you unmute yourself if you have a question or feedback about how that was. Too complex, too easy. Tell me all the things.
I have a question.
Great.
First, thank you so much. I love discovery calls, and having two booked in the coming up here in the future. This is helpful.
Good.
But I've always just done them on the phone because that's how my business coach said. She's like, just get them on the phone. But do you think it matters in terms of phone versus Zoom? Obviously, a face-to-face, they can see you, right? But I think my energy is such that it's portrayed over the phone too. So I don't know if you have a gut response about that, or it's just kind of whatever works.
I like to let the prospect choose during
Okay.
COVID. And that is because a lot of us are zoomed the heck out.
Yeah.
I know for me, I am on Zoom 10 hours a day, Monday through Friday.
Mm,
So sometimes I'm like, I just really want to lay in my bed with my headphones in and not have to smile. But there are other people that aren't like me that aren't on Zoom all day that may just really love the personal connection.
gotcha.
So when I book it, I would give them the option.
On Calendly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
Thanks.
totally. Yeah. Other questions or feedback, either one.
Sarah, I like the part that you talked about the being intentional and using the time for the client, because really at the end of the day, you're earning the right for that time. So I think that's so easy to forget that. Use that time well, be prepared. I think we all could use that reminder time and again.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Good, good. Any other questions, guys?
I also liked how you gave some very concrete examples, because it goes a step further than just saying, okay, social storytelling.
Mm-hmm.
That means something different for a lot of people. And
Right.
the fact that you were able to kind of give some examples and help us piece that together, I think is very helpful in the presentation as well.
Awesome. Awesome. Thank you for that feedback. Yeah. That's my favorite way. Favorite way.
Sarah, this was really super helpful. I love the part that you gave the examples for overcoming objections, because that's always my most difficult part. So it was super helpful. I'm glad that I joined.
Yay.
Definitely.
Good, good. I'm glad to hear that. Thank you for sharing. All right. I'm going to share. Oh, somebody else. Go.
This is me quick. I was just
Yeah.
going to say, yeah, that was awesome. Thank you so much. And I really did love too the part with the keeping it simple with the packages, because one of the things I find that I do, because I do have some really high price point stuff, is when I get to that part and I'm going to give the package, I always undersell myself right away and say, like, I'll say, I think this is your best package, but I also have this really inexpensive one too. And I just totally like wreck it because I know that's actually not the best package for them. But I don't know, it's just like instantaneous. I want to like spew out something else that I could undercut my services by, which isn't really valuable. So I think it was really important to hear that you're the expert, you give the most valuable, I'm not going to give them something they don't need. I'm going to say, if you want all of these things to fix your pain points, this is the best package for you. So that was really great to sort of keep in mind, because I do that all the time.
Good. I see.
Yeah,
it a
I
lot.
agree.
Yeah.
I think that might be a good place, though, if you start with what you really think is their best thing for them. And that wonderful objection of it's too expensive. For me, that's when I can bring out another option that
Exactly.
might be a little less.
Exactly.
But I do the same thing, Sasha. I just kind of like throw it out there and then let them pick.
Right.
Target, and then always have that back option.
Exactly. Exactly. I'd say honestly, as I've been in this business, so the sales cheerleader business and kind of learning, and I've been doing a ton of calls, right? Because I need help with SEO. I need a virtual assistant. I need an accountant. Like there's a bunch of things that I'm hiring out right now, because I also have a full-time job, but I want this business to have the foundation to be able to explode. So I'm interviewing a ton of people or doing discovery calls with a ton of people. And that's the most common issue I'm seeing. But I'll tell you something, it's only when the person is a woman. Men don't do that. Men are like, here's the package. Here it is. Boom, boom. It's the best. It's the shit. Let's go. Oops. But that is, commonly, right? I'm making a generalization, but I think as women, because often we're so caring and so kind and so compassionate, and we really want the business, right? We want to win. Like we're so excited that then we just start word vomiting about the options. So I love that that's something you all took away, because it will transform it. If you say, based on what I heard, you need this, and then zip it. And if they're like, oh my gosh, I could never come up with $10,000, Sarah, like that, I mean, that is so far out of my wheelhouse. Like, I don't even have, then you're like, oh, no problem. We could start smaller. Here's what I would recommend in the $500 range. Would that be something that would be a better fit for your budget today? And then hopefully in a few months, I'll have transformed you so well that you'll be ready to invest in the VIP or whatever. Yeah. Cool. Cool.
I just
Great.
want to say, if it's okay, there's so much good stuff here. And what I do on my discovery calls, because I do them on the phone, and then in front of me, I have my laptop open with like literally a Word doc. And I literally have question one. Like I have my script because when I first started doing it, I was like, oh my God, what am I doing? But then like the second thing is shut your mouth. Like for me, right? Courtney, shut your mouth, right? So I literally have it in front of me so that I don't just go rogue.
Yes.
And then I have like the 2 or 3 packages. So anyway, for me, that really helps just to look up.
Yes.
There it is. So
Yes.
that I have the pressure off, that I don't have to memorize all this, because that's crazy for me.
Right. Way too much. Yeah. My plan, hopefully even today, is I'm going to make a discovery call guide that is just that, with some questions, reminder to smile, something that you all can download. I usually print one and put it in my office, like, because, there's days where you're like, brain fart. What was I saying? Where am I at? What's my name? I don't know what's happening. So you've got that cheat sheet, like, right. How are you today? Right. It can just like bring you back into reality. So I love that. I think that's a great idea. All right. We've got 2 more slides because I am sharing with you all this offer first. I'm so excited. Where did it go? There she is. Let's see. Okay. So I have a huge announcement. I am unveiling finally my Sales 101 Bootcamp. So if you found value in this training, and I know some of you were on my first training, which was about leveling up your, what was it about? Leveling up your influence and persuasion skills. That was a great one. If you didn't see it, it is archived in the Facebook group, so you can go play that one. It was about half the time of this one, not as complex, but I'm rolling out my 90-day deep dive into mastering sales skills. And I'd love to have you join the wait list. So basically what this is my corporate training distilled a little differently for female entrepreneurs. So this is what I've been doing for 10 years, is giving people who have no sales skills an entire boot camp to learn all the things. Discovery calls is obviously an important component, but there's about 85 other components that are relevant as well. So I can't do that whole thing for free as much as I'd love to. I'll continue doing these short ones, but I am putting together this offer. And what I'll tell you is I'm only going to accept 10 female business owners into this first course. Because I'm used to corporate training, I want to make sure I take the time to really hone in and reframe and learn with you. So I'm also going to offer this very first boot camp at 75% off what the initial cost is going to be after this. I do not have that price yet. We are getting close. I'm actually working with a couple of other people to help me validate the pricing and making sure it's in the right spot. But I'll tell you, for the 10 people that get into this boot camp, it will be less than $1,000 for sure. So think hundreds of dollars, not thousands of dollars. The boot camp will be thousands after this first initial session. So if you have some interest, if you like my training style, if you're starting to pick up some golden nuggets and feel like I can really help you move the needle, all you're doing right now by signing up on this is just getting on the wait list. You're not committing to anything at all, but in a few weeks, when I finalize the packaging, where it's hosted, there's just lots of details to finalize, then you'll be the first one to get the actual offer with the price. And again, I'm only going to take 10. I'd love to take more. I love money and I'm super excited about this, but I'm only doing 10 again, because I think I need that minute to make sure I'm framing everything appropriately for the female business owner instead of the corporate seller, right? It is just, there's some differences in terminology, et cetera. So go to my website if you're interested in learning more. If you want to find out what the price ends up being, it's salescheerleader.com. And it's the most recent blog. And you'll be able to read more about what the offer is and then sign up for the wait list so you can get all the details. And then finally, here's all my socials. So please come follow me on all the places. I encourage everyone to take a look at my LinkedIn. Since this is such a, more elevated business level thing that I'm selling, I like to use that social proof as well. So I've got references on my LinkedIn dating back from when I worked for Tara. And all throughout my career about my style and how I sell. So it's just a great way to test me and see that social proof on your own. So check it out. Follow me on all the things. I love supporting women business owners, so I will follow you back. If you don't see me following you back, you can holler at me and say hello because I would love to support you. So that's all I have to share. I will hang on if you all have more questions or want to chit chat. But that is the end of our presentation. Now I'll stop the recording if I can figure out how.